I want you to try this tomorrow morning. Just add 1 scoop of this in your coffee. I'm talking about collagen. You stir it up, dissolves nicely, there's no taste. I add a touch of cream, but boy, what it does to your body is next level. It's inexpensive, very quick, simple, and it will support your skin, your joints, your hair, your sleep, your gut. I want to explain some things that collagen can do for your body that you probably have never heard before. Out of all of your body's protein, 30% of it is made up of collagen. That might not mean much to you until you realize that most of the dietary protein you're consuming is only like 1 to 3% collagen. So there's a huge gap between the dietary collagen that's coming in from your diet and the collagen that's ending up in your joints, your tendons, your ligaments, your muscles, and all of the other connective tissue that holds everything together. Also, the more tender the meat, because people love tender meat, the less the collagen. People don't like to chew the gristly, tough meat, but in reality, that's where you get a lot of collagen. Tenderness means low collagen, and people nowadays don't consume nose to tail like our ancestors did, but we love our tender muscle meat. So we're getting a lot of protein, but not enough collagen. And as we age, we lose our collagen. We lose our skin, our joints, our hair. We don't sleep that well. And even we lose the tight junctions that keep our guts from developing leaky gut. The other thing you should know about collagen is that 1/3 of collagen is a very specific amino acid called glycine. And yes, it's true that our body can make some glycine, but not very much. And so most people are very deficient in this thing called glycine. And those of us that are not consuming enough collagen, we're not getting this glycine. Let's start with the benefits from collagen, including glycine. The first one, sleep. Glycine directly improves your deep delta wave sleep. That wave of sleep that gives you that wonderful, refreshed, rejuvenating feeling when you wake up. Even people that sleep 7-8 hours and they get up and they still feel really, really tired, chances are they're not getting the deep sleep because they're not getting enough glycine. Glycine also helps increase something called GABA, and it helps calm you down, and it really helps you rejuvenate through the night. Number 2, gut health. Glycine is essential to keep this gut healthy, especially in repairing the gut lining. If you have any type of inflammation, bloating, leaky gut, you want to be taking glycine from collagen. If there's food allergies, if you have an autoimmune disease, which usually starts in the gut, this can greatly help you. Glycine directly reduces gut inflammation. This next one is big. Detoxification requires glycine. Why? Because glycine is the precursor, the building block for glutathione, which is the master detoxification compound for your liver. And without glycine, you can't make glutathione. And without glutathione, you can't detoxify your liver. So toxins build up, inflammation builds up, you can't detoxify excess hormones. All of the things we're exposed to, plastics, chemicals, environmental pollution that's almost impossible to avoid, is dealt with by glutathione in your liver if you have enough of this, glycine. So glycine is very anti-inflammatory. And if a person is on medications, they need to support this glutathione in the liver more than someone who's not on medications, because medications are extra stress on the liver, thereby increasing the demand for more glycine. Let's next talk about hair. Premature graying. There's reports that glycine can help slow that down. There's an enzyme called catalase in your body that helps you break down something called hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is made by your immune system and by other cells to help defend itself. And sometimes there's too much hydrogen peroxide, which can actually make your hair lose its pigment and cause graying. Well, guess what? You need glycine for catalase. Catalase is dependent on glycine, or it just can't work. Next one, blood sugar. Yes, blood sugar. Glycine makes your blood sugar more stable. It also helps make insulin more sensitive. And that means you can handle blood sugars much better with less insulin, which then creates a cascade of good effects. Easier weight loss, less belly fat, less fatty liver. And there's one other thing that's really interesting. There's an opposing hormone to insulin that does the opposite of insulin. It's called glucagon. And glycine supports glucagon. So those people have too much insulin and they have too much weight gain. It's actually a good thing to support this opposite hormone, glucagon, because it does the reverse actions. Next one is very interesting too. Glycine competes for something called uric acid, so it's really good for gout. Glycine also helps to reduce oxalates that bind with calcium, decreasing your risk of kidney stones. And as a side note, magnesium also will help reduce oxalate stones as well. Glycine is also essential to make something called heme, the protein in blood. And glycine also supports your gums. Now here's the part that almost no one talks about, and this will change your viewpoint on collagen. Most people assume that when you eat collagen, it goes in your body, it gets digested, it goes to your connective tissue, and that's it. But that's not how it works. 90% of the collagen goes into the scaffolding or the raw material that builds all this connective tissue. But 10% uses a different pathway. It survives digestion as these smaller little chains of amino acids called peptides. And these peptides are very unique. They're not just floating around randomly. They're acting as a signaling molecule. 10% of all the collagen that you consume ends up as these little peptides that actually communicate to something called fibroblasts. These are the cells that help repair your tissues and rebuild collagen. And so think about it. When you eat steak, fish, eggs, chicken, you're not getting a lot of collagen. Even if you consume whey protein powder, you're not getting a lot of collagen. So unless you're consuming food with collagen, you're not going to get this little thing right here, which is super important for repair. And I'm talking about all the things right through here. Before I get into a couple more key things about collagen, I want to just mention what destroys collagen. Junk food, primarily sugar, seed oils, stress, age. When you're like 17 years old, you are at the peak of your collagen production, your elasticity, your skin, your gut is at its best it's ever going to be, okay? Then as you get older, it starts going down and down and down and down. I remember when I was 17 years old, I could literally jump off my roof and not shatter. I'm 60 right now. If I jumped off my roof right now, I would probably break a bone. So when we're young, we're elastic, we can bounce, we have wonderful amounts of collagen, but as we get older, it kind of goes downhill. So the bad news, as we age, we lose our collagen, but the good news is we can get it back if we understand the mechanism. And I think the big confusion is people think if I eat meat, steak, I'll get my collagen, but it's not true. So as far as glycine goes, you want to have between 4 and 10 grams per day, and you can easily get that from a scoop of collagen, just one scoop. And the easiest way to do this is just put the scoop in your coffee, dissolve it, it's done. Another way to get collagen is through bone broth, or take a whole chicken, the entire thing, put it in the crock pot and cook it all day. You will have an end product that's loaded with collagen. When you consume fish or chicken, make sure the skin is on it. Pork rinds without MSG is not a bad way to get some collagen too. And if you are taking a collagen powder, make sure it comes with vitamin C, because that allows the collagen to work on our bodies much better.